Exactly. Most people say heat, and that's the exact wrong answer. So, ghosts are cold. So obviously, I'm the warmest thing inside that video. My skin should be orange, red, and yellow. This is set up to white, hot, black, cold. Okay, so we are looking for those blue and black spots to start moving on their own. So if you take me out of the picture, you're going to see that it's going to fluctuate based on whatever's inside that screen. So that's the cool thing about this, is we're going to be moving throughout the city, and it's going to fluctuate based on different types of material and people around us. So with that being said, you're going to get the full thermal imaging video back. The cool thing is we're going to have a full audio piece on this as well. So we're going to have 2 different points of audio for EVPs. So EVPs are electronic voice phenomenon. I hate Saturday nights. I feel like I got to scream over traffic, especially with these masks on. Oh, by the way, speaking of masks and COVID, and let's get that out of the way. Thank you all for bringing masks. I have epilepsy. At times, you'll see me take a quick break. I need to breathe. Okay, so I'll put it right back on, I promise. All of your devices have been sanitized. I do that 3 times a day. So once before I upload all the data, once before every tour. I have extra masks in case anybody's mask rubber bands break or anything crazy, and I have hand sanitizer, and I have us all covered. So if you want to play in the mud, we can clean you up. Not a big deal. So I'm losing names already because you guys are a party of 3. Sir, what is your name again? Paul?
Mike.
Mike, that's what it was. So Mike, you are going to be our video cameraman all night long. You're going to hold that horizontal, just like that, all night. The red square on your screen means that it's already recording. So if it turns to a circle, you have to let us know and hit it again. That way I have to splice some video together.
Okay.
And you'll be kind of the jerk because it takes me longer to do so.
All right.
So I try to get all your data back to you by noon. So like that's a pretty big deal. So we're going to stick with the thermal imaging team. This is why I said pick a partner, and it's kind of odd people in and out with the odd numbers that you guys have. So we have to debunk whatever Mike sees on his camera. So we need thermometers for that. So with that said, you all know what this guy is by now, right? The surface temperature? Okay, so the problem with this guy is that it only measures whatever it touches. That's the problem. So with that said, we don't know what the temperature is between the gun and the red dot. That's where this yellow guy comes into play. In the event we have an anomaly where we can't figure out what's going on, we can measure the air with the probe at the top of this yellow device. So with that said, we can find where the cold spot is and still try to debunk if it's air conditioning, have wind breeze, like whatever the case might be. So in the event Mike says, hey Nick, there's a black spot on this wall, but everything around it is red and it's moving around, I'm going to test the wall all the way across, and if it's the same temperature, I now know that that black spot is between Mike and the wall. So I'm going to use this guy to kind of move back and forth to find where it's at and where it's coming from. Does that make sense? Alright, so you said your 2 team members were who?
Jenna. Lisa.
The 3 of us.
Jenna and Lisa.
Okay, so you guys are going to be one thermal team.
Cool.
Working together. Alright, so I'm going to take care of these ladies down here. So we're going to have some fun with lasers. How about that? That sounds good, right? I hear giggles because lasers can get Nick in a lot of trouble. So, who are my 2 responsible ones out of you? Is that a bad question?
Yeah.
Get everything prepared here. So, I normally joke around and say that this is the neuralizer for Men in Black, and I'm going to need you all to stare at the top of it so you don't remember a thing. But you guys already know that it's a laser, so we're going to go with the laser. So, green dot, right? Ooh, fanciness. So the cool thing is you guys can't see the laser light from the pen to the ground until something passes through it. So really what we're looking for is something to pass through it at a very quick rate. Lasers stay on the ground and in specific areas only, because obviously if you're in the streets, you can get Nick arrested. So that's why responsible people are like nodding your head. The green one's cool. So we have another laser. It's a little different than that one, and it has a different purpose. This one gives us red squares. So what's the difference between green dots and red squares? So in the event we actually capture something here, the squares will allow me to put it into 3D software, and we'll have a full 3D view of the apparition that we caught. How cool is that, right? That's pretty cool. So, very cool stuff. Now, 2 of you will have lasers. Don't cross the stream. Anybody get my Ghostbuster joke? All right, cool. You guys are on board. London got it because she hears it.
She sees Ghostbusters all the time, right?
Well, she laughs because my new ringtone for any like new booking that comes through for you guys is Ghostbusters, what do you want? It's Janine. That answers the phone. So she knows. Dad's got another booking. Dad's full for Saturday night. So the cool thing is that they don't normally give this to teenagers because they have no idea what this guy is. So glad to see that. I know, right? So a digital camera is going to help us capture the things that these two ladies are going to find with their lasers. They're going to be shooting through it very simply. Somebody shoot one of your lasers down for me. So they're literally going to be shooting this way. And that way there's no flash on here. I want actual anomalies. We don't want any false positives off of windows and things like that. So who's the person left without a device? You're my picture. Working as a team here. So you guys direct these lasers off. Like shoot the lasers down and we get a picture.
So walkie-talkie.
You can take horses photos too. Let's see, what do we want to go to next, love? Let's do a spirit box. Alright. Spirit boxes. We're going to be using several types of spirit boxes tonight. The first one we're going to be using actually records the entire thing. So the spirit box is an FM radio sweeper. It's going to sweep through all of the FM radio stations very quickly. It's your TV shows with that stupid annoying static that you hear, and they tell you a phrase of what they think that they heard. This one's set up a little different. This one is set up to slow down the speed, so it's not going to be as annoying of a static. We want the radio chatter to come through. I want the DJs, the song lyrics, commercials, any of that stuff to come through. In the event we actually hear any of it, it's a 50-50 shot. It could actually be some kind of communication. If I can relate it to the location of where we are, awesome, great. We're going to take that and I'm going to give you a verifiable link of why it's relevant to the place of where we are. So, the two of you are going to be listening together. This is a together.
That's a pretty big honor, guys.
So, I'm going to set it up for the skeptics. It is for the skeptics.
That's right.
So, the cool thing is it doesn't record any outside noise, and it even records when it's on mute. So it's just recording the radio sweeps, and even when I control the volume up or down, it's going to stay at a nice even keel when I give you the recording back tomorrow morning. So again, it's slower. I want you to tell me what you hear out of the radio chatter. The only button you need to worry about is a little wheel right here. You just turn it for volume, up and down. That's it. Obviously, when I'm telling stories, you're going to keep it down because it's already recording for us. But in the event, like I'm going to say spirit box is up, because there's going to be 3 different sets of spirit boxes out, then you guys go ahead and turn it up and start listening. So I'll teach you more about that on the next location. So, let's see what we got left here. I know all kinds of crazy stuff I have to piece together. So this is another spirit box. Works exactly the same way. Just looks a little different, and it doesn't record. So I also set this up with 2 people, because this is one that we definitely need you to verify what you're hearing. So, 2 of you. The volume button is right here. You're going to hold it up to get the volume down. Same thing with them. As I'm telling stories, you're going to keep the volume down, so forth. Alright, so we have the key. And the cell phone. The last spirit box we're going to use.
I'm just learning how to use it.
He's fine.
I'm working it.
Yep.
I'm trying to find
Trying to find your band.
Turn your
Metallica.
cell phone light on. See if you can find the little cable for me
Trying to
for
find
this thing.
Metallica on
So we're going to use another kind of spirit box. This one's actually in the form of an app. So the interesting thing about this is it's going to give us a word list from time to time in the center of the screen. Thank you, girl.
It was right on top of it.
Okay, thank you. Questions here? Alright, so it's going to give us a list. Just for practicing, and they're the ones that are going to get the next advice. That's okay, you're going to get this next device, so I need to preview it here. So, yep, oh, I got all kinds of stuff. So, this spirit box is going to give us a word from time to time, and the cool thing is it's going to save it to a list. Y'all are going to get the entire list. 80% of this list is BS. It doesn't mean anything, because this app is meant to be a game and a hoax. Meant for college kids, or a drinking game, or whatever. but we can use it as a communication device. And again, what is relevant, I will give you the verifiable links of why it's relevant. It could be something happening with our tour, something with y'all, or something related to the stories that I'm telling you. So I'm going to clear out last night's tour and start you guys off fresh, and literally
I know it is going to go right there.
go right to you. It's got a battery pack buffer to the back, so
Camera okay to leave on
Yep.
the whole time.
Sure is. Sure is. Last but not least, our EMF meter will tell us exactly what is happening around us. This measures 3 different types of electromagnetic fields. Okay, so first one's natural, it's from the earth, that's why it's green, it's not doing anything right now. The next one's going to be from electronic devices. It's funny, I just handed out a whole stack of electronic devices. It literally has to be touching this thing for it to be able to give it a pulse. We don't want a pulse either. We want this thing to go a little crazy. I don't get excited when just one device is going off. That's when I start listening to all the data the next morning, remembering, hey, this location, the EMF went off. I need to listen to other things or watch video or whatever I need to do. So again, it's our first indication that something else is happening. This is actually going to go to YouTube. So, all right, now everybody has devices. London is here to help with our devices. The first location we go to is kind of a practice area. It is haunted. It just doesn't have a long history, which is a great place for y'all to kind of experiment with all of your devices. And London and I will bounce around with all of you after we tell you the quick history. So, but we're going to start here first. And you guys just lightened up my bag a whole lot, so thank you. That's a big deal. So, this place used to be called Big John's. We don't have locals here tonight, right? Not in this group?
They're local.
Couple locals. So, how long have you guys lived here?
4 years.
Okay, so back in the 70s, this place used to be called Big John's all the way up to 2015. Okay, it actually had a big fire and then it changed hands a couple of times. So Big John was a football player from the 1947 Giants. And I'm not a sports fan, I had to memorize this stuff just to tell the story. So, but anyway, he used to sit in the back of the bar and he would let the bartender know if the cadets that were coming over from the Citadel, which is not too far from here, if they were old enough to drink. One night, 2 guys came in, they weren't old enough to drink. So Big John tells the bartender, get them out of here. So they leave, kind of mad, they come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on and obviously a bar fight breaks out. A couple shots were fired, John gets shot in the neck. And he goes back to the bar after beating the 2 guys up, and he tells the bartender, get me another beer, get them an ambulance. Now, nobody died in that story. The whole point to the story is to prove to you that it doesn't always take a ghost or a dead person to haunt something. It's the bullet hole in the building that haunts the place. So people that will sit in the front of the bar tend to get a little queasy, headaches, nauseous, not all the time, just randomly. And I will tell you that that's the only place that I've ever had EMF in that building, is in the front of the bar. Now, I don't even know if the bullet hole's still here, because they're renovating. Obviously, the windows are covered up. So I'll have to go in and investigate afterwards to see if the bullet hole's still here so I can still tell the story. But at any rate, this building also was a big part of our 1886 earthquake. So if you didn't know we had an earthquake here in Charleston, newsflash, we had one major one, 7 point something on the Richter scale. The mantle above your heads actually broke off in the front of the building and struck somebody in the head and killed them. That's an alleged story that I've heard through other tour guides. Fix something. I don't know what, but he needs to fix something on that car.
No, that's purposeful.
I know, right? It's like he knew I was standing right here. So, at any rate, are you guys all ready to go ghost hunting? Oh, yeah. All right. London, lead us the way, please. I'm going to gather my bag. Follow me.
Come on, he didn't give me
You want to do the video?
I'm quite fine just walking around.
Yeah, you don't have the job?
Yeah, you just have to hold it.
You guys all set?
Oh, yeah.
Is that your job to handle it?
I think so. Am I supposed to turn it down or up?
We're just walking along. Like, oh, there she is. I don't think so.
All right.
That's just a hole.
Welcome. Just so you all know, ghost hunting isn't always pretty, so if you're expecting a sightseeing tour, my apologies. This is not it. We're going to see half the sites. Most of it's going to be parking lots and significant places that are actually haunted. So this is what I call the big red barn line. So those of you with lasers, the ponies are still in that building. You need to keep those lasers off the building. There's 3 lasers out there, including the infrared gun. So again, just keep them off that building. You will spook them. If you want to jump scares, go ahead. That's the place to do it. Then horses will kick. So the only history I have of this building, guys, in this location where we are, obviously I just told you about Big John, so we could be listening for numbers and things like that from Big John's teammates. But this is the same barn where they kept the horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So whenever I tell you stories, certain words will be emphasized, especially for you spirit box folks. So delivery, milk, Charleston, those are draft horses in there. Like there's a lot of terms that can come up. But we're going to talk more about those spirit boxes because there's 3 of them out there among you. So you guys are going to be asking questions. I'm not going to be doing all the work. You guys are here to work for me tonight. And you paid me. Imagine that. So, I know, right? It's awesome. So I used to be a retail manager of over 300 people. I quit to do this, just to hang out with deacons. So at any rate, I'm a weird guy. So, spirit boxes, this is not TV. It's not, is somebody here? Because if somebody says no, obviously somebody's here, right? So, O and S and yes and no are 2 of our most common sounds in the English language. So we're going to stay away from yes and no questions. We want definitive answers. I think we can all agree that the barn is red, correct? So we're going to start off with questions that are simple. What color is the barn? You're going to listen or watch for the color red or something related to the color red. Now, an EMF meter, who has the EMF now? That can actually go up to red to get an answer. You never know. But again, if you don't get an answer after 2 or 3 tries and listening for 30 seconds at a time, you're going to try a new question. They just might not have the right words or the right energy to be able to answer us. So we're going to go after what's inside the barn. Now we've just opened it up. We got animals, draft, carriages. I've gotten the word dirt out of there before. Makes sense. It's covered in dirt. There's hay in there. So delivery, milk. I've had eggs come up, calcium, protein. Anything that relates to the delivery of dairy products is a big deal because yes, they did deliver eggs as well.
What color should I be looking for?
Anything above the green.
Okay.
And then we try to debunk of what it's actually happening.
Okay.
So, spirit box folks, I would say at this point, if you're going to get close to those windows, please make sure that you're at a level that only you can hear. There will be cars coming in and out, as I'm sure you can see. We're always looking for parking, and they try to park back here, and this is a private lot. But this is a place where I'm going to set the spirit boxes free. London's going to jump around for a quick moment. I am going to start working with the thermal imaging camera. And as far as the lasers go, let's start getting lots of pictures. But again, keep those things pointed down and maybe out to 5 feet in front of you. But again, have fun with that spirit box between the 3 of you as well. So, you guys have a player? Yeah, that's a cool item. I like that one. That's usually the one I use. So, London, choose who needs the most help with the spirit box, you think?
This is a spirit box?
That's a spirit box.
I think him.
Okay, so you're going to go,
What am I, just tell me, am I going up or down?
you can go
Up
up.
and then ask questions, but not yes or no questions.
London, go with them.
Okay.
Let's
Cool.
get them going. Christine needs to have a good time too.
Yeah.
Up or down?
So, all right. Thermal imaging.
So I'm
Where is it?
trying to understand.
Is it recording?
Okay, so
Mark.
yeah, you are looking for. Obviously, you have like some blues and blacks back there, so those are the cooler items. And one of the things I like to demonstrate. Where's the other
Or what do we think?
thermometer? Who has the other one?
Like, Jenna? We were to ask what
Where's she at?
Jenna! Listening for either like red, maybe maroon, like something in that. But it might be
disappeared.
ties and asking
I don't think we lost it.
He's over here.
Right. So one of the demonstrations I like to show you is go ahead and point that thing at the wall for me and tell me what you see.
Red and orange.
Mainly one color, right? So you want to try to keep somebody's skin intact at all time because you've seen the wall just changed from like red and orange to probably a little bit different blues and blacks. So you want to try to, I mean, there's a lot of people in this group tonight, so it's going to be easy for us to try to find somebody's skin. Our skin's going to be the warmest thing out here. That's kind of our baseline.
Okay.
So really what we're looking for is against somebody's baseline, like I should be orange and red and yellow. If a blue ball comes across and it's moving intelligently, we obviously have something going on. So what you two are supposed to be doing is with your specific gun. Now go ahead and point your gun at the wall, and you go ahead and tell me what temperature you have on your camera.
There's a dot. Blue, I guess.
Okay, so what's the number say in the center of the
Oh,
screen?
50, 83.
83, and what do you have?
78.
Okay, so in the event yours goes lower than what hers has, then you know that it's something in between your camera and the wall or whatever you're facing at, and that's where you come into play. you're going to try to figure out, and you probably shut off already, because it will shut off after like 2 minutes, I think. So you're looking at the bottom number. The bottom number is a temperature, the top number is a humidity. We don't care about humidity tonight. That gets into all kinds of other crazy scientific methods. But the bottom number, that's where you're going to try to find where that cold spot is. It's like he's going to hold his camera still, and you're literally going to move your camera or your thermometer super slow between the camera and the wall to see where that cold...
So I'm looking for dark colors.
Exactly.
But I keep somebody's skin in the...
Exactly. So
thing,
let
so
me give
that
you an
it-
example. So I have a piece of actual evidence that I caught with that camera and why I use somebody in view at all times. Sorry, let me bring it in. I normally have
Watch
it later.
this, Jenna. So
Yeah, you guys-
understand what we're doing here.
I know, a lot of science. Sorry. You would think the writer doesn't get into that much science, but it's the only way to actually capture something legitimate. Alright, so what you're looking at here is a wall, okay? So above that wall, you're going to see two people walking. Two heads are going to be above the orange wall as they go across. You see them right there? Okay, so that's obviously a baseline. We're going to fast forward a little bit. There's going to be two dead heads going the opposite way, right above that wall as well. So when we get to that point, it's going to be right there. One, two. So I've had firemen and mechanics and the people that actually use that camera as a tool try to analyze this for me. They can't make anything out of it. So
those
that-
were ghosts.
Yes. And the reason why I was called to that corner was because they were seeing shadows. So I went up there to go debunk it like I normally would. I'm like, I saw a light bounce off of this thing or whatever. The next morning I watched the video. I'm like, oh shit, there's actually something there. So it was the first piece of evidence that I've caught. It's the best piece of evidence I've caught. I have caught thermodynamics in reverse, but that's a whole different science. That basically means that temperature has to balance. So if something is growing in heat, that means that a cold spot is generating somewhere else. And I've caught the heat growing, and I tell people don't lose focus on that heat spot, because that's just as enough evidence to me that cold spot is generating nearby. Because if you're growing 10 to 15 degrees in a very short amount of time, like 5 to 8 seconds, a cold spot is generating just as quickly in the opposite direction. But you don't know where. So people will like start to search. I'm like, don't search. Just keep it focused on that heat spot, especially if it's growing in heat. So again, it's a nice cool night for us. If you find that, that's be amazing. That's still enough evidence for me to actually prove like thermodynamics is a thing in the spiritual world. Like it has to be able to pull energy from somewhere. So
Makes sense.
but
Okay,
that-
so if your temperature, you're seeing, and Jenna's temperature, your temperature is lower,
if he goes lower than hers,
you
then
go lower than
then
then
you
I
need to jump
be
in.
like
Yes.
going.
Okay.
Okay, so
Sorry that
let's
the-
do an example. Okay, go against
you're
that
good.
wall. Just go against that wall. Now, Jenna,
84.
you take temperature. Mine says 78, and mine says 74. So
What do you have?
84.
84. So you're obviously measuring a lot of what is coming on, because this is way warmer than the air around it. So what's funny is hers isn't picking up on that much temperature. And I didn't calibrate these on purpose, because I want you to be able to see like that one there is surface temperature and yours is ambient temperature, but he could be measuring either one. Because his is being influenced from all the air from the camera all the way to the solid surface. So again, this thing doesn't see in 3D, it only sees in heat
I'm
signatures.
looking at this bottom one, right?
Correct.
Okay, so if you go, what is it again?
If his goes lower than hers,
Okay.
that's where you jump in.
All
I
right.
know the yellow one's not as great and active as the rest of them, but you still have to work as a team. I normally give both thermometers to one person when I have a smaller group, but the three of you working together, I figured this would be a good chance.
Okay.
And you guys can
Nice.
interact.
Cool.
And the
Like,
haunted.
intermix your tools too if you want to.
Okay. So we're gonna look
You
at the
guys have
barn.
7.
Thank you.
All right. London, what do we find?
But you're supposed to go lower than Jenna?
Yes. Because a spoof.
I think that's is that the window.
So
I think that's the window.
yeah. No, if I
Okay,
point
now
it
you
that
have to
right,
push yours,
that way.
Jenna.
I don't know if I'm
So
allowed
if
to.
I look at that window, then it's 66.
I don't think I'm allowed to put the laser on that window though, because there's forces.
No,
in
no.
there.
I'm just now it's 69. Most of the wall is 69.
And what is that, Jenna?
69.
The same?
Okay.
So we got to move around.
So we gotta follow each other.
Yeah. Work as a team.
We're a team.
Still in the 60s, 67. Uh-oh. The fish is picking something up. Okay. I'm at 63, 64.
Yeah, I'm at 62.
So it's normal.
Hey, shouldn't that like maybe probably.
Yeah, that looks haunted. That fence is 64.
64.
Okay.
It's a lovely night. Are you enjoying the evening?
Let's see if Uncle Mark is haunted.
Yeah.
He's heartless. That makes
One,
sense.
Are you enjoying this weather? It's beautiful.
70,
heartless?
69.
Can you record this?
Alright, you guys getting anything over there?
What color is
Okay, they are
what color is the barn?
73.
73, Jenna,
Pink.
what are they?
I think this is where the sewer is.
77.
Hey, then I'm lower. I'm
73.
I'm 74.
There's a sewer ghost down here.
Ooh. There's going to be a
No,
ghost
no.
that's going to be in the sewer.
It's all you.
You don't want this?
No, I don't. Whoa. Yeah.
You're getting rent. How old are you?
What's your favorite color?
Okay.
What
Come on, we
answers
gotta
have
walk
had?
around some. We can't
Okay.
just like stay in one spot.
What answers did we have?
We haven't like been able to understand it, but I keep hearing stuff. So I'm hoping that maybe, you know,
Team.
I'll hear it more clearly eventually.
Yeah. It's definitely flashing a little bit higher.
Team.
Yeah.
All right. I'm at 67, 68.
Yeah, 69.
Still in the 60s, mid 60s.
Yeah. Nothing? Not yet.
No. Let's look and see if we find any in these garbage. Still 67.
63.
Okay, this is 60, 70. What?
Where are you from?
Ooh, how about down this alley? Okay. So down there it's 74.
66. What are you, Jenna?
66.
66.
Bullet hole.
Doing 76.
Back. 60.
I'm looking for cold spots. I'm finding pretty warm stuff. All right.
You guys find anything?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Everybody's got the gist of how the device is. You guys ready? We're trying to find. I'm sure you can see now why I kind of keep this limited to 10.
Oh, there's a.
Again, going over
This
that,
car's got a cold spot. The car's got a cold spot. It's like there might be a ghost in the car. 63, 61.
Yeah, you're colder than me.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Come on, Lisa.
All right, Lisa. Get it together. Come on. Get your little device
Find
up.
it between
What do I
us and the
do?
back
What do I
windshield.
do?
Walk between us and the back windshield. Ooh, that was 59. To the car, not the truck. Back windshield of the car.
We're
Lisa.
making a song, but
Car.
like, we still, I know.
limited so that you can hear songs and like you can interpret it. So
Yeah. It's all about putting.
Wow, now it's really
We're gonna go
cool.
learn some real
I'm getting 62. I'm getting a cold spot in that car.
What am I
61.
supposed to do with this thing?
Could walk between us and the car, not the truck, but the car.
Okay.
Okay.
Just like that?
Yeah, and look at the temperature.
That's the cold spot. That's right where Lisa's heart is.
Is there a cold spot?
Yeah, there is, but it's
Well, I'm
hard.
getting colder in the car. It's like there could be a ghost in the car.
66.
You're looking for
Lisa, like, got the
something.
camera on you, and there's a cold spot right
Them
here.
lasers can set off car alarms. Who's got that laser?
we're not shining at the car.
I seen a red dot.
temperature.
Sorry.
Let's go.
All right, let me see.
Right here on your body, right where your heart
All
is.
right, let's go learn some history, everybody.
All right. Yeah, that car is like 61. Yeah. All right. Well, it must
What do
might
I
be
do with this thing?
you're looking for the temperature on the bottom line.
66.
Okay. If you're walking between me and the car, if you go down to like 50, then you found the ghost.
So your temperature needs to be colder than Jenna's,
Yeah.
and then my temperature needs to be colder than yours.
Right. Because you're looking for it in between me and the cold spot.
So I'm supposed to be in between you and Jenna?
When we find evidence that there is a cold spot, then you walk between me and the cold spot, and you measure to find out where there is a cold spot in between me and where I'm pointing to.
So all I do is walk?
So
With
isn't
the
it a
temperature
simple
thing? So I just turn this on, and then I'm looking for my temperature to drop lower than your temperature?
Yep.
This is paradise. compared to where I came from.
Like mine is the space
His
from here
temperature
to
should be
So check out this
lower than
beautiful
your
site that I
temperature,
bring
and then
y'all
I
to,
should be
right?
lower than yours.
So this is, if I were to have a grand finale, guys, this would be it. So this is the Pinkney Mansion site. So this was home to Charles and Eliza Pinkney. Who the heck were they? They had a son named Charles. So there's Charles number 2. And they had a nephew named Charles. Charles number 3. They were signers of our Constitution, the son and the nephew. So I hate politics. We just got out of an election. Let's move on. I think we can all agree to that. So we're going to talk about Eliza. We're going to be trying to make contact with Eliza. This isn't going to be a question and answer. You guys know what the answers are, like the color of the red bond. This is going to be, I'm going to give you like some scenarios. Hopefully, your box in the children's channel will tell you where that is. So hopefully they will give you those specific answers. So Eliza married Charles at a very young age. Big age got between them, so there's a question you can ask of how old were you when you got married? Look at our EMFs already going crazy. So, with that being said, she got married because her dad over in England thought he was dying and he wanted all of his kids home. She didn't want to go. So she got married. He didn't give her citizenship because we're talking colonial times, but it did pretty much solidify she's not going anywhere. So dad gets better. Eliza was right. And he starts sending gifts over from England. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. So indigo was already here in Charleston through our gullah culture. So our slaves already knew how to cultivate it here in our cold temperatures, and the Pinkneys owned some of those slaves that knew how to cultivate it. So she used Dad's contacts to be able to use this as a cash crop to sell it overseas. Pretty much saving Charleston and all of the colonies because our rice plantations were going downhill very quickly. So indigo, we still use it today in some way, shape, or form. We use it to make blue dye for our blue jeans. Okay, that's what it's used for still. So it was back then, obviously you can think of the British and wearing blue, that's where they got their blue from. It's from the indigo that started right where you're standing. She had a garden. It was over on this side and came all the way across this opening of the parking lot. I am standing where the servant and slave quarters would have been, and obviously the mansion and the carriage house would have been in the front facing East Bay Street. So, a couple of weird facts about Eliza. Keep in mind, I'm only telling you the tip of the iceberg of Eliza's life. There are books and books and books on this one. So, first weird fact, she was the second wife named Eliza from Charles. Both Elizas go by their maiden name. They both start with L. That's all I'm going to tell you. So if you want to ask what was your maiden name, you're listening for an L name. So, like Lisa, but that's not a maiden name. Just giving you an example. So, let's see. You can ask anything you want to about Eliza's death. How old were you when you died? Where did you die? Where did you die from? Where are you buried? Which U.S. president was a pallbearer at your funeral? Very big honor. right? Everybody wants to know which U.S. president it was. So that's a great question for you spirit box holders.
He said not to do the
Let's
cards
see, what
because
else? I would say you can ask how many children she had, but start diving into her kids' lives. There's a tragedy in there, and all activity will stop if it begins. We don't want to tap that button and stop all of our activity. We want to keep it going. So just letting you know, you can ask how many kids she had, but stop there. If she wants to keep going, that's on her. So you can also ask what happens to the mansions. That's another interesting fact as well. So I've given you a lot of questions. Hopefully you guys have those stirring in your brains. You guys know how to use your tools. This is also going to be a place where Linda and I bounce around with you because we don't have tools ourselves, so we want to see how you guys are doing and kind of see where the answers are coming up at. So thermal imaging, some people get weird with cameras in their cars. That's all I'm going to say. I will basically ward anybody off that starts giving us a hard time. Lasers, they will set off car alarms. I will tell you that. So keep your lasers pointed down. They are that strong. We want to keep them off of cars and vehicles. So I think that about covers it. We're going to stay within the confines of the lot, so I can kind of tally on everybody, see where everybody's at. So Captain Pinkney Mansion arrives as a great person. He's very friendly. Ask your questions.
So there's a spot over here.
What's your temperature, Mike?
69. It's in that corner over there. Whoa. That's rock.
Huh?
65.
I got 65 right here.
Yeah, 65.4.
Ooh. 64.
That's far right there.
So now I got
Yeah, I got 71.
66.
All right, Lisa, get over
Go,
there.
I got
go,
63.
Go, Lisa, go.
63.
There we go.
We're at 63. What do you guys?
I'm at 65.
It's like right where I'm pointing at, so somewhere between those.
That's over there on the ground. Let's get closer. Right on your feet. Pile leaves. There's a dead body in it.
Oh my god!
65, 64.
63.
63.
Ooh, that's the doorway to the underworld.
Right there.
You're at 63, Jenna?
I'm at 61.
66, 65, 66, 62, 65.
I'm at 62. This thing doesn't stay on.
Then that leaves are cold.
Alright, turn it over here. I'm at 60.
64.
I'm
Look down at your
60.
feet. I'm 60. Well, you're 60 right where you're holding it. You've got 54?
I got 64.
Oh, 68. So you're lower.
And I'm 60.
67. So something over here. You need to ask him if this was Liza's.
Ask her.
Well, we
Say,
don't have
Liza,
anything
are you close to us, Liza?
Nothing that
Liza, darling.
nothing that we have is going to allow her to
Liza.
talk to us.
Okay, what's your temperature? Liza, are you by us, Liza?
70, 69.
Manelli. Come here, Liza Manelli. 67.
Kayla, come over here.
Go ask him questions in this corner.
You picking anything up?
This corner's
Well, we're
cold.
getting some cold spots.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Liza, are you here?
You can't ask us or
Okay.
Don't get too close.
All right. What's your favorite color, Liza? Over here.
Okay.
What is
How many kids do you have, Liza?
Okay. Eliza, how did you die?
Liza, what did you make for breakfast? Liza, how many kids do you have?
Liza, do you hate your husband?
That's not a yes or no question.
Okay.
Liza, where was your bedroom?
Liza, how much did you hate your husband?
Eliza, what was your last name?
What is that? That's like a radio or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scanning. So you're getting a lot of activity here.
Yeah, right out here. Are you getting a cold spot over there?
This is where we have some cold spots.
All right, what is your
In fact, there's one
temperature?
right there.
What's your temperature?
It's
60.
54.
Wow, yours is way colder.
Like right at your shoes.
All right.
Right at the end of your
What
shoes.
was your favorite color?
I'm 68.
I'm getting 54.
All right, let's do 54.
Well, you're standing on the 54.
I'm 68.
It's whatever.
Liza, what was your favorite thing to grow in your garden?
Okay, it's this Budweiser thing.
What did you grow in your garden, Eliza? You have 63.
Eliza, how did you
51?
feel about your husband?
I've got a 51 here.
51 right here?
It's like I'm pointing right at that Budweiser label.
Okay.
I got 63.
So, interesting
Eliza?
fun fact of where you are.
Yeah.
You would actually be standing inside the house. And the interesting about this part of the house is this is where the disaster that occurred at the house started. So I usually see if anybody's actually drawn up here. You gotta imagine, I get a lot of psychics and mediums on this tour too. So I'm always, it's like, you know, I always see where they go. Like, what are they drawn to? This would be one of those places that they're always drawn to. Just so you know.
Okay.
So you're Spirit Box person? I forgot names again, I'm sorry, I'm horrible.
Kayla, stay
Kayla.
over here.
She should be up here listening.
Stay over here.
And again, if you guys want to interchange among your 7 people with your tools and whatnot, by all means,
Eliza,
just
what
keep them
happened
within your
here?
party.
I think I just messed up something.
No, you're good.
Eliza,
Don't pay any
what
attention
happened
to the
here?
timestamp on there. Just worry about that red
You wanna
square staying on the
switch and
screen.
get the spirit box
So if it
for a
turns to a
minute,
circle, just tap again and let me know. And then
Eliza,
you'll
what
be the
happened
jerk
here?
instead of him.
This is your temperature.
Yeah, the temperature is in the crosshairs, so it's only going to measure wherever that crosshair meets.
How do you feel about
So
this
that's
part of
where
the
the
house,
temperature is.
Eliza?
So you have a black
Did
spot
you
right
like it?
there. So you want to move your crosshairs up there to see what that temperature is. And it's probably garbage, but you can see the difference of the different blues. So it went from 61 down to 56.
Eliza,
So
what
it's
happened
going to be
here?
a 5-degree
That's
difference.
just garbage
Yep,
difference, right?
yep.
What did I do wrong?
It's probably metal. Nothing.
Here on Celsius, I think.
Eliza, what happened to your house?
There we go. Come on. There we go.
So when you're looking at this, like obviously we were pointing
what
that towards
happened here?
a beer can or
Right.
something.
It was
So
metal.
we're looking for like a black spot, like somewhere
So you're
that's
looking-
not like a.
So obviously this black up here is going to be the sky because it can't measure that. It's too far away. So it tries to look for surfaces even though it's only looking for, like the sky up there is going to be the coldest thing that we have, open air. So it's going to look for,
What is
that's why
your
that
name?
is black up in the corner because that's going to be like probably 20 to 30 degrees difference than the white that you have over there on the right hand side. The white is going to be the hottest thing in that picture. Black is going to be the coldest.
Is your name John?
So it's
we're looking
white,
for-
then yellow, orange, then red, then dark blue, light blue, then black. I'm sorry, I
so
got
we're
your
looking
name
for, like,
John?
black spots.
black spots or even blue. If blue goes over the orange, it's still a good 15-degree difference.
So how do I keep the light
here
on?
with us?
So it's going to shut off from time to time. So you just tap the bottom right button right here
Okay.
twice.
Twice, okay.
It's not meant
So
to be
I'm
on
getting
for 90
60
minutes.
degrees, which is lower than.
I like how
What
everybody's
is your
hovered over the
name?
garbage. I think that's hysterical.
whiskey.
I heard whiskey. I did too.
Really?
Yeah.
Whiskey?
Was alcohol involved in the disaster? What happened to the house?
What is your name?
What is your name?
Are you getting anything to it?
Not
Ask her about the whiskey.
really. Was alcohol involved?
No, yes, or no's.
Did alcohol aid in the disaster? Was it fire?
Sit.
What happened to your house?
What type of alcohol was involved in the disaster?
I heard gin.
You did not, did you?
Yes.
Ask him if alcohol is involved in the disaster. Did he tell us that?
That's a
No.
yes or no question.
How was alcohol involved in the disaster?
Trying to find a full spot. Yeah. Hold on. Who's here with us? What is your name?
Here, Jenny, you want to do this one? Oh, you're doing that one.
So, did you guys find anything?
So the disaster that happened to the house, the disaster that happened to the house, what was the disaster?
It was a fire.
It was a fire.
Yes.
Was there alcohol involved in the fire?
We don't know. We think that was a candle that got pushed over, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Because they said they thought they heard whiskey.
Whiskey? Who knows? They might have been alcoholics.
That's what I'm wondering.
What's that?
They thought they heard the word whiskey.
Ah, yeah, it was right there.
Eliza.
Here, you want to do this one?
Not really.
Lisa. Eliza, we're heading to your garden.
59.
What's your favorite flower?
This is the slave paragraph.
Oh yeah.
I've got 67.
60s again.
Yeah, she
I
ran
was?
away. She ran away.
I was in the 50s now.
Yeah, she boogied. She saw the devices we
Maybe
had.
she was going this way.
She hit the bar.
There's a ghost right behind you.
She just doesn't want to answer us. She doesn't think we're believers. What I'd love to see is like the history of all these buildings.
Yeah.
When was this building built? What was its original purpose, right? That would be cool.
Turn that up and ask for a question.
Alright, I can't hold this.
Look at the moon.
Oh, look at the moon. That's cool.
Anything weird on that camera?
No.
Nothing?
Okay, so the house burnt down.
Okay.
What was anything involved with causing the candle to burn the house down?
Nothing specific with the house caused it to burn down.
Oh, nothing?
But it did burn down.
Okay. So they claim they heard whiskey over there.
They did hear whiskey, but that wouldn't have been the cause.
She
just
just likes
likes
her
whiskey.
whiskey.
Yeah, could have been.
She was a whiskey drinker?
I don't know. Doubtful.
She's like a whiskey drinker.
Either that or they yelled out, I'll take a whiskey over because
Yeah.
you're right next to the bar.
You guys ready to learn all the answers of the questions I proposed?
Yeah.
All right, let's get everybody grouped up.
All right.
With her thermometer, like it's some kind of magnifying glass. Yeah, fantastic.
Alright, over here, dude.
All right, so
How do I do that?
yeah, let's turn the sounds down on our spirit boxes. Yeah, yours is fine. You can leave yours alone. I gave you the quiet one. The only quiet one. So it was Eliza Lucas Pinkney that planted all of the indigo, and the insignificant first wife was Eliza Lamb Pinkney. So we have Lamb and Lucas were the maiden names that we were looking for if that was the question that you asked. Eliza married Charles at the age of 22. Let's see, Eliza died at the age of 70 in Philadelphia from breast cancer while doing business. So she was in Philadelphia working her mojo up there in the colonial times, and she died, and that's also where she's buried, Philadelphia. I get answers from Eliza here in Charleston, South Carolina. So why don't we visit cemeteries? Because the dead people aren't there where they were buried. So I know that the name of the tour is a little jarring. So who is the U.S. president? Anybody want to guess? Anybody got an answer?
No.
Colonial times,
Did you give it away?
No, I did not.
Monroe.
I asked and I didn't.
Grover Cleveland.
George Washington.
Oh.
So George Washington, you have to remember, only had 13 colonies. Eliza's husband was a governor for South Carolina. He spent a lot of time with the Pinkneys, so it was probably an honor for him just as much was for her that he carried her to her grave. So he was very grateful for the things that she did for our country. That shows you how important she was. Again, books and books and books on this thing. Barely touched what she's done for us. What are the questions that I give you? The mansion did burn down, but not from whiskey. So it was from the Great Fire of 1861. It was simply in the path. So it was just a piece of it. I actually had I do want to start a Stories in the Cemetery store one day where I sell ghost hunting equipment and sell books and then rent the upstairs as a haunted hotel. And then me and my wife had this crazy idea for us to buy this land and recreate the Pinkney Mansion and make that our shopping hotel.
I would say that.
We would charge quite a bit of money.
Okay, then I can't stay.
So,
Yeah, I
but
can.
it would obviously be a very big dedication to the things that Eliza and the Pinkneys have done for the country. I just don't know how the city of Charleston would be about me making it a ghost hunting thing. So it's a big idea right now. Obviously millions and millions of dollars are involved. So hopefully soon there will be a Stories in the Cemetery store right where you're standing. How cool would that be? Very cool. Let's see, what other facts did I give you? I think there was 4 children. Only one was a daughter, and the daughter's name was Harriet. So if you had anything that came up dealing with writing letters, pen, ink, paper, letters, they used to write often to each other because her daughter Harriet ended up moving up to the Georgetown area with her husband. Her maiden name is Ori, which is the county in Myrtle Beach. So the Oris were a big deal up in the Myrtle Beach area, so that's where she lived. So a lot of writing because there wasn't a whole lot of travel, as you can imagine. So I will definitely be looking at all of your data in the morning pertaining to this location because this is where the good gist of it comes from. And I'm able to prove a lot of things that come out of I listened to your words and what you told me. Your recordable spirit box, I definitely focus on here. And then as far as the word list, last night was crazy. I got so much out of the word list. It's probably the most I've ever seen. It was almost half where I can relate to the locations of where we were. It was nuts. You'll see that on your tour data in the morning. So we are going to walk up about 4 blocks to our next haunted location. It is in Lodge Alley. So again, this is always all sightseeing. So we're going to walk for about 5 minutes. Your EMF meter, how tall was it? Yes, it's going to go crazy. because of the parking meters. You can ignore it the entire time. Spirit box folks, if you want to listen to it along the way, I'm listening for names. I'm not going to tell you which names and why certain names, but I will tell you once we get to live out. Keep filming. That's a big deal. Absolutely no lasers on East Bay Street. Very busy tonight, Saturday, so yours needs to stay down, and the two of you need to stay down, obviously. So, more questions, comments, concerns about the Pinkneys? There's going to be lots of data about them tomorrow, I'm sure. All right.
Can we talk about the death of the child, or is that like not?
It's taboo.
That's normally, like, there was an infant that did not make it.
Okay. I didn't know if that was like no, it was too late or too early.
Say the kids' names. We had a name called
What was the name? No. It was a son. She named him after her father, George, over in England. So you're probably wondering where my George Washington tidbit comes from. That was actually a fact I learned from doing this tour. George Washington showed up as an EVP twice in 1 week, and I had to figure out why. The same location, obviously where we're standing. So I did a little bit of research and found out he was indeed a pallbearer at her funeral. How cool is that?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Again, I learn new stuff every day. So, we're going to walk through those doors. Please keep in mind it's 1 step up, 3 down, and then there's another little trip hazard once you're down. So we're going to make a right once we exit out of here. All right.
What?
Filming.
Mom, your daughter. About 70.7.
Yeah, she's hot.
I got a hot ass.
That's these tripping hazards. Pralines. They're burning the pralines.
Yeah, you were right.
You got any more candy?
I think so too. Always thinking in advance.
I am a thing. I was gonna say you didn't have to have many bags.
I'll keep walking.
Dude,
There's a ghost walking by.
There is.
Haven't seen any yet.
have you guys ever eaten in there?
No, but I want to.
Yeah, remember we went with Carrie. It was kind of right. And everything with Carrie was not gonna happen. No. That's like weird.
busier cities.
Other thing is very much like this.
Sunday afternoon, going out and get out of town.
Yeah, I like this alley.
Touristy photos for y'all.
It's what?
This place closed.
No, for the blossom.
Oh no, this one didn't. The other
Blossom
one.
closed?
The other one.
Blossom was the one there. Didn't we go to Blossom and there was a leak in the roof?
Yeah, that was another one.
No, that
Harry
wasn't.
wasn't happy with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is nice. Mike and I have eaten there before.
I think we've eaten there. Why did we eat with Perry and Jason? Yeah,
Ooh.
this is.
See something?
Saw a dark spot over there at the timeshare.
I think that they kind of be like stuck in their
I haven't, but like, yeah, you're saying it like you understand. All right.
Alright, so welcome to Lodge Alley, everybody. So let's get those spirit boxes turned down. This is technically a quiet area because we're next to a hotel, so we're going to be very brief here. I just like to kind of give you a gist of where we are and what this place means to Charleston. So when we crossed over past the market, we are now inside the original Charlestown walls. So this would have been one of the first streets we had in Charleston. So all those buildings you see down at the edge of the water, none of that stuff was there when we first built up the walls. So the smell of low tide would have still been coming through here. So the walls were not as high as our buildings that we have. So with that said, these people were probably lower class. They were able to verify that by doing an archaeological dig here, unlike the Pinkney Mansion site where they've never dug. We're going to miss out on all those artifacts when they put up that hotel there. But here, they did find some of their silverware and tools and clothing, and they were able to classify these people as lower class. The cool thing is I have the full list of people, every person that's ever lived on this alley. It's not a very long list, and there's not many people here during specific years. I usually get the names Benjamin and John. Usually about once a month, they show up together. Now, granted, there were 4 different Johns that lived down here during the 100-year span that it was a residency, but Benjamin and John were 2 out of the 5 people that lived here in 1801. I don't find a coincidence that their names show up between 1 or 2 spirit boxes at the same time when I'm down here. So that's why I said listen for names. Did anybody hear any names on their spirit boxes? Jeremiah. I like it. We'll see what comes up. I don't have it memorized. It is a little longer than I can memorize. Hell, I can barely remember half of your names. So we'll see what comes up. If Jeremiah's on that list, obviously I'll give you the link to show you the list of where that came from. So very cool. It also gives me their jobs, their occupations. So if they were a mariner, a grocer, a banker, any of those type of things. It gives me all of that, and I have had their occupations come through here before too. I did have some pictures taken when we came in. We're also going to take some pictures on our way out. So you guys were the first ones in, you're going to be the last ones out. We're going to take a couple quick shots going the opposite direction. I do get weird light anomalies here. So again, my wife works in photography. That's what she does for a living. She will get the pictures if I feel like it's not from the camera, and she will verify it. She knows all cameras pretty well. Her day job is that she works for Best Buy. So she's the cell phone manager. So being a photographer and working for Best Buy, even if you guys take pictures with your phones and send them over to me, we can either debunk it or prove it based on your phone. So some of your phones will give anomalies that aren't real. It does it all the time, especially iPhones. So I say head nods.
I don't have an iPhone.
So But this is a very interesting place. I do like to show, especially visitors, a little bit of cobblestone before we move on. Because again, these are clay bricks. They were handmade, hand-laid. You don't see this every day. So we're going to be passing through a neighborhood, so we're definitely going to keep our spirit boxes very, very low, if on at all. Lasers are a definite no until we get to our next spots. Again, we're getting more into the sightseeing places. If you are a picture taker, if you hang off to the right as we exit the alley, it's a great picture of St. Philip's Steeple with two older buildings on the side. So again, if you're a picture taker, by all means do so. But we are going to get some photos of the alley going the opposite way. So, no Jeremiah? London already verified, no Jeremiah. Okay, she knows how to get to the list. She's got all my shortcuts.
It's in my favorite and on my card.
Oh, okay, I'm liking it.
I'm liking.
Just looking down it and seeing what this was probably the water's edge. You know, a couple hundred years ago, this was probably the water's edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, Taylor.
That's cool.
Hold on, Jenna, turn around.
Amber?
Yes?
You can get it out. What do you need?
Okay.
No, wait. I don't know what the heck it's Just quiet.
Let's go.
Come on, Susie. Can you
I
go?
can't get the camera to work. Okay. All
I
right.
guess
You
it's
ready?
just as much-
1, 2, 3. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And Grandma, like, she's like, no. Wow, that whole thing is like so small.
This is fun walking down these little alleys.
A fixer-upper.
That's an opportunity.
No. No. I don't know if it goes. We have face masks and sanitizer. Only one.
One face mask. I didn't write.
They just ran out of S's.
Yeah.
Face mask. Are you hearing anything?
Like face masks on a spirit box?
Oh no, we're talking about that sign. I thought it was funny that it just says face mask, hand sanitizer. Well, just one
It's
sanitizer.
like a checklist after you get out of the car.
Yes.
Are you hearing anything?
I thought there were another ghost
These
store.
masks at least keep you warm. Even now.
Look at this. I give you a place to sit. Yeah, sit and chill for a few. There's a lot that goes on in this corner. So this is our very touristy type area. And I'm going to be casing to get spread out pretty good. So we're going to stop up at that church, but I do like to point out a few things. If everybody turns around and looks through the wrought iron gate, there's an opening in that wall back there. You'll see that? So that alley back there is what used to be called Dueler's Alley. That doorway is where the loser, if there was one, would come through this courtyard over to St. Philip Cemetery where they would drop the body and into the cemetery. So I call that the death gate. It is original to Dueler's Alley. It's called Philadelphia Alley now. It is our most beautiful spot in all of Charleston. No tours are on it. They used to tell that story. I got lucky. London remembers. He was there. Not a good thing. So, but yeah, no tours are allowed down there. So I kind of had to reroute some things, which is kind of cool because now you're in the legends of more part of the building. We are going to do one full final investigation, but the cool thing is most of your devices are recording something. So during the time I'm telling you these couple of stories, something pops up. Obviously, I have some legitimacy to legends and more, right? So again, ghost hunting is not always the fun. So this is a prettier area. The building we just passed, there's a brick building on the corner. I couldn't stop because it is residential, but that used to be called Bocce's Restaurant. So that was probably about 7 or 8 years ago. They did leave town because it is too haunted. The doors don't stay shut. There's like fall off walls, so forth and so on. Another prospect for the Stories in a Cemetery store. Can't wait for that to open up. So let's see what else we have going on here. Let's tie all of these buildings together. So obviously this is St. Philip's Steeple. It is the tallest steeple we have here in Charleston. And it is slightly lean. You guys remember the earthquake I told you all about? It is slightly lean from the earthquake. You can't see it, obviously, with our naked eye, but if you measure it, it's a little bit off. Everybody goes up to that cemetery to go look at the sign. I'll tell you what it is, because every tour stops here. I want you guys to kind of see it, and then we're going to move on. What that sign says is that there's no ghost at St. Philip's besides the Holy Ghost. There's a reason. They don't want guys like me hanging out up there in the cemetery. In 1888, there was a young lady named Sue Howard Hardy who died 10 days after her stillborn child. In 1987, we had a local photographer taking pictures. He captures a full apparition of a woman wearing a shawl and a baby basket next to her. It's 1987. No cell phones, Photoshop, those kind of things. So he has to send it to Kodak to try to get it debunked. They have no idea what's going on with this picture. It's an amazing picture for a guy like me. I don't show it on my tours because, of course, it's cursed, and I'm very superstitious, as I'm sure you all can imagine, with my profession. So females that hold it will not feel well. Pregnant females will not have a good pregnancy. So I'm not going to be that guy who gets a phone call 9 months. You can imagine that. So I don't curse my tours. So we are going to take a look at all of that, but I do want you to also notice that there's two sides of the cemetery. There's an east and a west side. The east side is for native Charlestonians only. That's for everybody else. John Calhoun is part of everybody else. He was actually moved 3 times as they tried to decide if he was actually from here or not. So he stays over there. You can actually visit his grave during the daytime. He's in a sarcophagus. It's a grave above ground. So you can actually go hang out and see it over there. They did take down the Calhoun monument over in Marion Square. So I don't know if you caught it, but they actually had a time capsule in that monument. That monument stood, was it 65 feet tall? It took them over 2 weeks to get the whole thing torn down, if you actually look at it. But they found a time capsule in there, and they opened it up the other day. So they found some little tin boxes in there. I can't wait to see what else they find. So very, I guess I'm tied to Marion Square. There's a lot going on for me in a treasure hunt in the city, and that's part of my treasure hunt. Solve is the right word, I guess. So it's called The Secret. So if you're not familiar with it, look it up. It's a lot of fun. 12 different cities, 12 different treasures. Charleston's one of them. So Marion's, yes, awesome. So it's an amazing hunt. 38 years this has been going on, and I'm this close. I've already dug once. The city did give me permission, and I start with my GPR in about 2 weeks to make sure I'm probing the right grounds. So again, it's a lot to get that done out of the city of Charleston. They do not like people digging, as you can imagine. So anyway, what else is going on here? Let's talk about some ghosts. So everybody see the gas lamp off in the distance? That's the pirate house. The pirate house is where black-rich men would come off their ships, and they'd meet with a few young ladies and have a drink, and they would have a place to stay. Once they stayed on the ships, never set foot on Charleston soil, and those pirates dug a tunnel from the pirate house 1 block away over to Dock Street Theater. That is a true legend. We just filled it in back in the 1990s. Dock Street Theater and St. Philip's, I tell you all of that because those 2 buildings are tied together. They're a young lady that used to work here at the church, late 1800s. Her name was Betty Dickerson. She's seen all of the prostitution going on down at Planter's Hotel, which could actually see her used to be.
Oh, yeah.
She was past the marrying age of 17. Nobody wanted to marry her. She was 23. Imagine that. So she puts on her best red dress and she goes down there and gets a job, and she's the best loved girl in the whole place. She's still not happy. Imagine that. So what happens is the priest sees her out on the balcony one night. She's contemplating coming back to the church, and he goes down there to finish the convincing. He wants her to come back. Storm rolls in, lightning strikes the wrought iron banister that she's leaned on. And a very abrupt story. But here's the interesting thing. You can only see her ghost from the knees up. Why? Because when we renovated Duxbury Theater, we raised that first floor ceiling. So she's walking on the floor that she knows. So it's a very interesting tale. And it's also one of the very few apparitions that you read about that's actually in color. When you think of a ghost, you think of a very wispy, white, see-through kind of thing. The people that have seen her ghost do claim that they see her in a red dress. So I don't have any significant evidence of the investigation that I did there. I get a couple little EMF spikes, nothing on the thermal. I haven't tried my new spirit box, which is the red one, the recordable one. I haven't tried that one there yet, but I will probably this summer, see what I can gather. Let's see, what else? Junius Booth is the other ghost that you can see there. Junius Booth is the father of John Wilkes Booth, who brought Lincoln in the theater. Junius Booth was a traveling actor during the time of the original Duxbury Theater. Something just went wrong with the S-Box. Yep. Stop. Okay. The ghost did turn it off.
Kayla. What was the name of that grave you were looking at? Didn't you look at like Minnie something?
Oh, it's a mini Pringle.
Wasn't that who he was talking about?
No.
Oh.
So I
They
think
said Miriam, or Marion.
We saw Minnie Pringle. Is that the one you were just mentioning? That
No.
story?
No, it's,
Okay, I misheard.
Betty Dickerson.
Oh.
My dad.
No,
I
you're
was
Marion
expecting
Square,
some sort of spiritual
Marion
connection.
Square,
Oh, okay.
is over by King Street. So, let's go up, and if you guys want to take a look at that sign, we'll take a look at it real quick, but then we're going to go talk about the Powder magazine. Cool.
Sorry.
Can we not?
Who's got those are lasers in?
Oh, they're over there.
Ladies with lasers, you can actually shoot those.
Can you guys stand there and let me get a picture of you? You'd have to stand in front of it.
Now we take our masks off.
Mask. How about sunglasses?
Everybody with
Take your
their
sunglasses
their
on.
tools.
Comb your
Everybody
hair,
with their
smile,
tools.
brush your teeth.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Okay. Susan.
No, when you are on a flash, it makes you a 3-second delay, so you have to wait for it to go
Did it
ahead.
take a picture?
This is where they saw the lady?
Yep. Yeah, she's buried towards the mouth.
I've heard that story.
Pretty common story. Again, when it's tourists coming through town, they want to hear some of the things they read online. I gotta recite
You
some
know
of
what's a good shot right here? The way that the moon.
Yeah, let me get a shot.
So when we actually go across the street, you'll get the steeple and the moon in the same shot. Yeah,
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
and it's a full moon tonight, by the way. Not that that means anything for paranormal activity.
Is it completely pulled out?
At 3:13 a.m. tomorrow morning.
It's probably what broke.
Still could be relevant. It's okay. I don't care what kind of it's relevant. I'll take it. Diamond's direct is about the only one I've ever. She could have lost all her hair. And it could be a grass that grows free. It doesn't grow back. Oh, it does? I gotta look. Is Can't tell the DJ to tell them what they want to say. So they're speaking through the DJ. Exactly. It's like Bumblebee from Transformers.
Did you take some video in there?
I did.
No, I'll know it's an apparition.
I don't think it's really taking video. I think it's just taking
Well, guys, sorry.
Alright, guys, let's take across the street. We got enough space.
Okay, cool. Oh. I thought it looked both ways.
All right, you get the radio now for a while. This thing's pretty heavy.
Not strong enough?
Alright. So, now that you guys have got all the legends and lore out of it, do you have everybody back?
Nope. Nope, we're missing the
Three
girls.
ladies are gone.
Did they book on me? Did I bore them that bad?
It's really like lasers.
So, the laser ladies. Where were she? They're like their own roller derby team. The laser ladies. I love it.
Pretty cool.
Sorry, I'm quick on the draw with words. Alright, so. Really?
Yep.
So, anybody want to take a teenager home? Wait till after my next tour. I need her
We
help.
did our time.
So, I need her for the next tour, then you can have her. So, obviously the cemetery, the western side, is going to be behind me, but we're going to talk about this powder magazine and what's attached to it. So first off, this is where the Charlestown walls came up Cumberland Street, and then they went up one block past where the powder magazine is that you see. That's the building with the crosses on it, and it is literally in the corner of where the original Charlestown walls were. Why? Because it's 3 blocks away from the water, and if it were to be attacked, it is filled with sand in the roof from 1712. And the walls are 32 inches thick. So if it were to get attacked, that blast would stay contained and not damage the Charlestown walls or any other building around it. It has never been attacked. Nobody's ever been held prisoner there. Nobody's ever died there. So why is the place haunted? Because it is the oldest government building on the East Coast. So we have a lot of pirates that come through here. I've already mentioned Blackbeard and his legendary Edward Teach name, but we're going to talk about another pirate. So there was a young lady that moved here from Ireland. She was the illegitimate child from her father's maid. So the father, trying to get away from his wife because of this child, picked up the mistress, the child, from Ireland, and they moved to Charleston. So this daughter was named Anne Cormac. Now, this is the same time period that this building was being built. We don't have many buildings in this time period, so that's why her ghost is said to be seen here several times. So this would have been 1709. This building was finished in 1713. By the time Anne Cormac was a teenager, we had some pirates coming through town. She fell in love with one of them. His name was James Bonney. So she fell in love with James Bonney, and she married him against her father's wishes to Jamaica, right? So, James did not turn out to be the husband that she wished him to be. He turned into a privateer, which basically made him a spy for the British on his own land. Not very cool. That's not the pirate life that she was looking for. She fell in love with another pirate. His name was Calico Jack. Much cooler pirate name, don't you say? So Calico Jack was an up-and-coming pirate, very young and handsome, and he had his own ship, and she wanted to become part of it. So what did she do? She dressed like a man, so she could become part of his ship and crew. She was allowed to be female in his quarters only. Eventually, Anne Bonny became pregnant. So what did Calico Jack do? He dropped her off with friends in Cuba. Said, have a baby, then come back to the ship. We can't let the men know that you're female. Females bring bad luck to ships. So she has the baby. We have no idea what happens to that baby. And she returns to the crew as a woman. So she doesn't care about dressing up like a man anymore. She's not willing to hide it anymore. She doesn't care. While she was away, allegedly pregnant and giving birth, Calico Jack captured another ship, and they had prisoners aboard their ship, and she started flirting with one of the men. Well, that man turned out to be a woman, doing the exact same thing that she was doing. Her name was Mary Reed. So Mary reveals herself as a woman like, hey, back off, I'm a chick. We're not supposed to be doing this. So, however, Mary became part of the crew. So now it's Anne Bonny and Mary Reed are the only ones that can fend for the ship, while all the other drunken pirates are watching the prisoners down in the deck. They get attacked by a British ship. And Anne Bonny and Mary Reed are fighting away, and the ship gets captured. That's pretty obvious, right? 2 women against the whole British ship. It's not going to work. I don't care if you're male or female. So, all the pirates from downstairs, they're all tried and hung pretty easily. Mary and Anne, it's their turn for their trial, November 28, 1720, about 300 years ago. And they get obviously tried for pregnancy or for piracy.
Oh, that's
Then they
very idle.
You guys got my words twisted. This is a long story. But then they
Wait a minute.
That's an aberration.
they plead their bellies, which makes them pregnant. So they can't be hung until their pregnancies are over with. So Anne Bonny's father, still here in Charleston, still has his Irish money, is able to bail her out. She comes back to Charleston and allegedly lived a very long life. There's a lot of holes in this story, which is why we're investigating. Mary Reed died in jail from whatever disease you get from being in a Jamaican jail. So with that said, we are here to kind of dive into Anne Bonny's life. You are free to ask whatever questions you'd like. By this point, I should hope you get the gist of what type of questions to ask based on the story that I told. If you want to know about her love life, I've gotten the words calico here. I've gotten the names Jack, James. I've gotten Save My Child. I've had weird anomalies with the thermal imaging camera, just little tidbits. The Emf meter, if I get anything, it's exciting. It's usually pretty dead here, no pun intended. But if we do get a spike, that's where we need to be focused on. So Paul, you're kind of in charge of the entire investigation. But ask as many questions as you'd like. Lasers, we're going to, again, keep down to a minimum, keep them away from the cars. But the building we're really focused on is the front where those crosses are. Those are actual earthquake bolts, the first earthquake bolts in Charleston, mind you. If you're not sure what earthquake bolts are big earthquake, they put bolts through all the floors. So if the building gets quaked, they tighten them up and the building goes back upright. That's the whole gist. So those are the very first ones that we've ever had here in Charleston. There are some on this apartment building back here, but we're going to try to keep away from some of the open windows.
This is a great place to take a picture.
So let's take, so we can explore the whole lot. If you want to, you can also go around to the front of the building, but this is our last place that we're going to kind of investigate, maybe spend 10
Is this a paid parking lot?
and then we'll wrap this up and see what we all found. I don't have other answers. I'm here to verify. So let's explore and have some fun.
This is a paid parking lot? You have public parking?
Anne Bonny and Mary Reed.
Or
What is that spot?
it's a heat spot.
How many children did you have?
It's just right here. That plant.
What's Ariana Grande's ex-boyfriend's name?
Most don't know who Ariana Grande is.
Maybe? You think ghosts can't stay up to date with pop culture? Kind of rude of you to assume. How old were you when you died? That would be cool.
Like, wouldn't you think that'd be cool?
What?
A tour, like a church tour?
Yeah. Hold on there. You have your spirit box on you, Dad?
Let's see what the hours are. Sunday 1 to 4. 1 to 4.
Ma tu ci trovo a casa, andiamo a vedere, sono qui a Going to the front to see if I can find any spooks. Okay. Ooh, look at the moon.
My back of my calf here is like.
What happened to your child?
Why is this so hot? Why is it 92? Did I do something? There's no picture on this. What's the problem here? Why is it so hot? Did we lose something here?
You have your finger, I think, right next to the sensor.
Alright guys, let's gather everybody up. See what we found. You get the card.
Alright, bye, Ann. The only...
There's only black cards in there. Alright, so London has my business card, which has my website link on there, so you guys can check out everything ahead of time. I'm going to start collecting data. Did anybody hear or see anything out of the norm or something a direct answer? We did get an I don't know.
That's what happened to your
That's out of the norm right there.
Alright, well, Dad.
The skeleton with the
kidding.
scarecrow?
No, all three of those. All three of those.
Nice.
Just kidding.
So
Love
what
you
is the
guys.
dynamic between all 7 of you, by the way? I never
We're all
asked.
related.
Well, I got
We're
that
family.
much.
Well, yeah, that
Nobody
much.
jokes around with
These
it.
are my 2 children. This is my son-in-law, my
Okay.
sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, and this is my wife.
Or sisters.
His mistress.
Yeah, she's my first wife.
She's from Ireland.
I believe he's going to want to come over here, so let's move up this way a little bit. He always stops right on the car.
So, ghost hunter battle.
Ann, this is your last chance.
Yeah, and he's got a.
Tell me your juicy pirate secret.
And I'm going to read a book about
Looks like a shark.
Alright, so let's get those lasers first. London's going to give you guys my card, so you guys can check things out ahead of time. You have 2 devices. How many pictures do we have? About 5,000? Awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the book on her.
Hand in your device.
Device.
Equipment.
Yes.
Alright.
Nicholas McGarrett.
Yep, that would be me.